Okay. A short reading this morning. This is from the Beatitudes. I'm going to read two of them. First one is, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." And the second one, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the dominion of heaven." For those of us who are drawn to a real spiritual path, and when I say a real spiritual path, I mean one that exerts pressure upon your existing ways of living in order that you would come through to a new understanding and therefore live from a new set of beliefs. And the idea of righteousness, meaning doing that which is right, for many people it's very subjective. But I am convicted that there is a right way to live. It's not exactly the same for every person, but the parameters of righteousness as God teaches are the same for all people. And the essence of it is a deep love and deep care for myself, for God, for all people. And if that truly exists, then I cannot speak against a brother or sister. I cannot act against a brother or sister. I cannot act in a selfish way knowing that it causes harm to another. Now, if people go, okay, well, that makes sense. That sounds great. But there's so many situations that are going to come up that we are going to go, well, I don't know exactly if this is right or not right, or this person should be doing it this way, or am I hurting them, or actually are they being stubborn? I mean, it's actually quite a minefield to navigate. It sounds great when we come to church and somebody says, like, okay, this is what it means to live a righteous life, and we go, I resonate with it, I want to do it. But then the relationships with our family, with our friends, with our kids, with our employers, with our employees, with the casual people that we interact with because we have to buy something at a store, we're going to be in the heat of the moment and we're going to humbly go, I don't know what's right. Should I do this? Should I do that? Well, the one thing that I find for people who are drawn repeatedly to the mystical Church of Christ is that we have that hunger for righteousness. There's some explainable hunger to know truth, to really embody love, to live love, to experience love, to know God, not just to pontificate certain beliefs or certain moral principles. We want to know. And I think that's awesome. I certainly relate to it. And having come through the process and being able to be somebody who can help people who want that is very rewarding. But I think if you are honest, you'll realize that there are many times possibly in your day, your week, where you are faced with a situation where you see what is right and the individual that you're dealing with has a different perspective on what is right. And this creates tremendous pressure inside because we want to do what's right. We think we see what's right. We would like the other person to join us. Now, if we become self-righteous, generally we get a bad response because every human being has free choice, and the premise for what other people are doing may not make sense to us, but it does make sense to them. There is a reason that people do things. And if we seek to impose our righteous version of it, even if it is totally aligned with God, even if our righteous idea is God's righteous idea, why is it that we typically may get a bad response from the other person? And when I say a bad response, I mean resistance, anger, frustration, stubbornness, unwillingness to cooperate, retaliation, criticism, accusation of hypocrisy. Well, the simple answer is because we have not yet merged love with righteousness. So I want to talk about how do we influence those around us to choose to do that which we believe is right. Well, as always, the magic ingredient is love. If I want them to do what is right because it makes my life easier, and clearly it's right, so what's the holdup? People don't respond well to that. Now, you or me or other people who think this way may be able to tune into what is correct and the energy of love, and they may be able to get it right away. And you may meet people, and as soon as you say something like, oh yes, it's like, I totally get it now, say no more, I'm sorry I missed it. And that's a beautiful moment when their understanding aligns with yours and there is harmony. That doesn't happen probably as often as we would like. We are more often in situations where we're going to have to put more time and effort into understanding how do you get another individual to want to act righteously. And this really is a labor of love. The key for human behavior is, does the person want to do it? I mean, think about when you're attracted to somebody and you want them to be attracted to you. You can't force that. Something has to be experienced where that person goes, oh, I would like to, be in a relationship with you, or I would like to have a friendship with you, or I would like to play sports with you, or I would like to go and see your performance, or I would like to come into your church. That is the essence of love. The person wants to do that which you have invited them to do. So the first thing to do is examine within yourself. When do you become motivated to do certain things? What is the energy that reaches you that makes you want to change, or makes you want to see a new way, or makes you want to go explore something? It always starts with understanding, okay, how do I respond if somebody tells me, well, this is the way it is, and there's an implied, like, you don't quite get it, let me enlighten you. What's the temptation? The temptation is to, well, let me find out if I can find a chink in their armor and go like, well, you're saying that, but you're not actually able to fulfill it, so you're hypocritical. That's one potential. Or, well, who gave you the authority over me? Or what makes you think that what's true for you is true for me? Anytime you elicit that defensiveness, you have to go, okay, I have not yet brought enough love to this situation. Now, there's a point, because we look at Jesus and we go, even though he did everything correctly according to the will of God, there were still people who were vehemently against him and had him executed. Hence, the second of the Beatitudes, which is, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. So there will be people who will not relax into that love and who will maintain a very stubborn perspective against that which you would like to bring. So we go back into meditation. We go, did I follow the teaching? Have I brought love to it? And if I say, actually, I see nothing else I could have done, then I accept that that person's negativity or animosity towards me, or criticism, or snarky gossip or whatever. That's part of this path. It's in the Bible. It's taught. Jesus said, you will be persecuted when you stand up for that which is right. But we got to be careful about jumping to that too quickly, presenting our righteousness in a way that is very difficult to receive, and then going, oh yes, well, they acted against me because, as Jesus says, I'm being persecuted. And this is where we need a teacher. We need a teacher to help us refine ourselves that we may have the best chance of providing a path to righteousness which is governed by love, which is that I really want this other person to want to follow that which is righteous. And whether that's just a procedure in my work, or something in our relationship, or something in our friendship, or even if it's something that's not really related to me. It's like, well, this person's about to do a business move that I'm worried about it. It could lead to real difficulties for them, and I would love them to be able to do what I feel is right. Remember, they will not do it unless they want to do it. And so our job is to study, how do we get people to want to follow that which is right? Well, first of all, we study ourselves. How did it happen in me? Is it fully there in me? Well, as you continue to walk the path, you'll begin to see where there are places where we resist. Either we don't agree, well, I don't think that's right, or it may be right, but I don't want to do it, so therefore I'm going to find some reason to defend against it. Or, as Paul said, Why is it that I do the things I don't want to do, and the very things I want to do, I don't do? And that is very humble, coming from an apostle, to go, I can't explain that. The very things that I want to do, I don't do. Now, when you understand that, you begin to understand the human experience at a much more profound level. And being able to convey that to somebody who may get to a point of going like, what you're saying makes sense, and I really want to do it, and I just find myself not able to do it. What do we do in that moment? Well, hopefully you commune with them. And you go, you know what, I understand exactly what you're talking about. Oh, hence the mystery of the human being. When you actually overcome that, when you honestly overcome that within yourself, you will see the trial that it takes to do that which you want to do, that which is right, and you now do it. Whatever it is that for all those years that you could not accomplish it, you couldn't find the strength, the discipline, whatever. As Jesus says, I have overcome the world. When you overcome the world and the pressure of the world, now you will be in a position to lovingly help somebody overcome that. Because you understand the very rigorous process that it takes, the amount of time, the amount of prayer, the letting go, the devotion, the strength, the courage, the perseverance. So there will be no frustration on your part when you realize that somebody is not able to do that. You go, I totally get it, man. It took me years. And yet I was even proclaiming that I was doing it, and I knew that I wasn't doing it. So I was fully hypocritical. This all builds that muscle of patience, love, and understanding for other people, which sometimes just, it drives you nuts because it's a delayed process. It's like, why can't that person just get it? Why do they have to be in my way? Well, let's join the human race and go, what kind of obstacle have I been for other people in my life with my own version of how I want to do things? We can start there, for example. So as we go forth into this week, I love it that we are hungering and thirsting for righteousness, because I think the planet is groaning to go in that direction. I mean, the earth and the weather and just the global warming and the political situations and the wars, it's a strife-filled planet in a lot of ways. And so it needs people who are hungering and thirsting for righteousness. Our job may be to ignite that hunger and thirst in others. And that can only be done when we understand it's their choice and that we do everything in our power to try to make them want to make that choice. And again, the ingredient is love. If they feel that you care more about their agenda, in other words, you care about what's important to them as opposed to you want them to do what's right because it makes your life easier. Yes, it will make your life easier, and that's okay. It will make the whole planet's life easier. But that may not be the seed, or that may not be the switch that flips them into action. The switch that flips them into action is unknown. You can meditate on somebody and go, Lord, reveal in me what would make this person want to do what I see is right. And I surrender to go, God, enlighten me from within. Let me become so selfless as to not be concerned with my agenda, but that this person may feel loved. And as a result of that, may make a choice that is good for them. You could say that's one of the essences of selfless service. So focus on that piece when people in your life frustrate you because you don't see them doing the right thing. That our job is not to convince them of what is right. Our job is to motivate and inspire through love their desire to do that which is right, that they would want to do it.